Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting Propagandacast with me, your host, Imperial Dane, and welcome to episode 500. Yes, indeed, no, there won't be anything super highly special. Why? Because I don't know what to do. So yeah, some had suggested something with Eastern Front, but sadly, the mod does not agree with my computer, so that's a no-go. And well, some other suggestions were, but either of those would require a lot more planning, which I don't have enough time for. So instead we're just going to do what I always do, another cast, of course, perhaps a few more details. I mean, we've come quite a bit far. I mean, we reached 2,300 subscribers in 500 episodes. That's certainly nice. And certainly hoping to get a few thousand more by the next 500 episodes, perhaps even many more. Meanwhile, we are seeing Angelfrost fighting for the Americans, fighting for the, I don't know, let's just casually say the 1st Infantry Division versus TGA of the 107th Panzer Brigade. Points being secured in the name of the fatherland. 2 cannon crowds out, in fact, Panzer Grenadiers, and we are seeing a usual 2 engineers starting with some riflemen already on the way for Angelfrost. And of course, I mean, there's always those, things some of you are wondering, aren't you burning out? Well, no, not really. I mean, sometimes, yes, I might sound tired, but that's because I'm just more physically actually tired because, I slept poorly, I'm slightly sick or something like that. But, I mean, I'm quite enjoying it, partly because, it allows me to actually work my English, allows me to actually talk about World War II, and partly because it's just a routine I actually like. I mean, it gives me something to do, and it gives me pleasure to do it, and it gives me pleasure to read all the comments about how people like it and all that. So I mean, that's why I do it. I mean, I also love educating people on the game and giving that bit of World War II knowledge. So for me, it's fun. Sometimes it's not always fun. Sometimes you're tired, but then you just do it anyways because next day you're all great and fine again, or something like that. So far, more casual approach or cautious approach by the American, although a bit of wire though. Interesting, nice to see though an American actually using barbed wire. Points being secured, and of course cannon crowds securing a lot more. Panzer is following up. No Gewehr 43s though, interestingly enough. No Gewehr 43s for TGA and the Panzer Brigade. Cannon crowds getting pushed a bit away though. More barbed wire there again. Fun to notice again, pretty rare you do see an American commander using barbed wire. Would I advise against it? Not really, as long as it's properly done. I mean, I'm not saying always, but I mean in some cases you can't get away with it. I mean, for example here, that can actually help quite nicely block the movements of your opponent, so they can't just run right at you. And we are seeing a logistic company going up for TGA. He might be in this case rushing straight for armor cast, or some players of course can't do to go for the increased squad sizes, and of course that way increase the firepower of your Panzer Grenadiers quite a wee bit. Though he might want to consider finishing it, mate. Oh, never mind. But at the same time, TGA is going pretty heavily on the harassment. It looks like the American fellow's doing it. No, he's reacting, of course, to harassment by the American commander. First engagement as well, really. These riflemen need to consider getting out of there. They're not really in a good position. 6 Panzer Grenadiers versus 6 riflemen out in no cover. That's generally not what you consider a good position. Already 2 men are down, screaming in the shrubbery. And of course, the cannon crowds are just going for all the fuel points. And in fact, the American commander's doing it as well. So we're seeing some pretty intense harassment from both sides. Quite interesting for a Monday Novice fight. But again, I mean, usually you'll want to finish the logistic company and perhaps, train some Panzer at least to finish it. Boyo. Points being secured, riflemen retreating. And another engagement right here. Engineers trying to lay down mines. Not a bad idea, but again, doing it right in front of the enemy. Less good. A lot less good. And of course, I mean, again, regarding the channel, 23 subscribers, great. Of course, we'll have more. In fact, we'll have to add an extra digit, that means 23,000 subscribers, though that might, of course, take some years. And again, I'm, of course, hoping that's not going to take that long. And of course, I mean, it's great with all the subscribers, great with all the activities. Of course, I can't please everyone. Of course, I try to please as many as possible. Of course, there's also going to be some disagreement on what to do, what people want, and there's always going to be some conflicts. So, of course, I just try to do my best as usual. And of course, I mean, again, if you want to sort of help, I mean, the best you can do as usual is, of course, you know, share the channel, share the videos with as many people as possible. Let them see, let them be enchanted. Give me more subscribers that way. I mean, usually the more attention it gets, the better. Partly because then it might also mean, you know, THQ pays more attention, thinks I'm a bit more important, and might, you know, give me some stuff which could, you know, be helpful or fun. And some exclusives, who knows? But Panzer is hunting down the rifle right here, so for large engagements. Kettenkrat, oh, he's going to lose a Kettenkrat pretty alone. No, he hasn't lost both of them. And increased squad sizes up. He's going for the Panzer command, so he might be going for armored cars. He might also just be going for some Panzer Grenadiers with assault rifles, Sturmgewehr. Though these chaps need to get away. In particular, one squad is heavily wounded and not in a fighting condition. And there we go. Full retreat. 4-man Panzer squad moving up against these engineers.
Our front lines are collapsing.
Making short work of them. Jolly good. And there we go. Sturmgewehr 44.
Initiating defensive operations. We are losing contact with
Quite a heavily armed force right there. Lots of mines, and he has gone infantry. Angelfrost has gone infantry. But again, share the channel and all that.
We have finished construction.
Troops getting reinforced. There we go. 2 4-man squads. In fact, 3, and he's building another building. Now here he might actually be making a mistake, you know. He's building too fast without, you know, pushing the advantage he has, which could, you know, be lots of Panzer guys, perhaps supported with some armored cars. Perhaps a Marder to deal with any armored vehicles instead. You know, he's just focusing incredibly heavily on this, and of course looks like Angelfrost has already concocted the response. Weapon support center with 30 caliber heavy machine guns and a BAR, thus overall increasing his firepower. Of course, the heavy machine guns should be able to stop those roaming Panzer Grenadier squads with assault rifles pretty solidly. But again, I mean, not really the most optimal thing to do. But of course, I mean, Angelfrost could of course also gone for a completely different response, would also have done nicely, just gone for armored cars, and he would have been able to pretty much give TGA a huge beating. Lots of mines though from Angelfrost. Lots of Panzer Grenadier. And there we go, swiftly repairing the Kettenkrat. Though currently TGA is rather penned in a lot of territory in his hands. And there we go, riflemen. Oh yeah, they're not doing too well. Getting absolutely massacred. Because, you know, 8 assault rifles is quite a bit of firepower. And again, I mean, just, you know, on the whole Panzer Brigade thing, I do think the Panzer Lead sort of fits to it. I mean, the Panzer Lead, some like to say, oh, they're the SS. Not quite, they're more an armoured Kampfgruppe sort of thing. I mean, they don't quite have a formalised structure, sort of a mechanized, you know. But also, I mean, they fit quite nicely on the Panzer Brigade, since the Panzer Brigade was more of a formalised Kampfgruppe, which had largely only Panzer Grenadiers and only Panthers for most cases. I mean, they weren't really, you know, a huge force with lots of heavy artillery, which again is largely the Panzer League, which can only call in from a doctrine, a Hummel. So in that sense, I do think, I mean, it rather fits nicely to the whole concept that this Panzer League could also be there to reflect a Panzer Brigade, since they were, for example, used in Arnhem. Well, I mean, Market Garden. So I mean, there's certainly some thoughts there as well. And not just, oh wait, they're SS, which I don't think they're quite sure they have titles that remind them. But again, I mean, there was not much else except if there were, of course, there's going to be a repeat of the Wehrmacht titles. So of course, that's just my thoughts as an amateur historian. Engineers getting gunned down, and of course, Sniper having a bit of trouble there as well. You know, assault rifles not really being good for health, but 30 caliber turns it around, quickly suppressing them because no Panzer Grenadiers do receive extra suppression with their soldier armor. And there we go, quickly retreated. The 30 caliber quick, and a mine goes off as well. Oh, several mines, several Panzer Grenadiers down. That's really going to bleed out TGA, who's now going for a 4th building within 10 minutes. Again, that's a lot of resources which are not going to be spent on combat troops. Several 30 calibers are in fact now up for Angelfrost. That's definitely going to be a problem for the Panzer lead and its Panzer Brigade. Points being taken. And of course the thing about the Panzer Brigade, you know, besides they were sort of a formalized Kampfgruppe, they were also largely not really well trained. Sure, they had some veterans, of course, but I mean, the large of them had only a few weeks for training, and then they were sort of rushed into things. They fought on the west and on the eastern front, and in some way, I suppose they could be considered the sort of Panzer equivalent of the Volksgrenadier division. They were also, to a certain extent, heavily, nicely equipped, but again, they simply lacked the training tracks to sort of make the best out of that equipment.
Losing a strategic sector.
So that, of course, is something to consider. And there were even a few SS Panzer Brigades, although there were no SS Volksgrenadiers. That would have been a bit curious, though, to see. Engineers running into a bit of problem. And the Panzer Brigade's origin were essentially the whole battle during, you know, on the Eastern Front. Operation Back Ration, the fightings with Army Group Center. After that was crushed, they needed to quickly regroup and create some new panzer formations, and Mr. Führer said, well, why not try this Panzer Brigade thing? And then, of course, no one really sort of argued and said, hey, we could also just use them to reinforce our existing panzer divisions. And so the Panzer Brigades were created. A lot of them were quickly used up in those later stages of the war. Some lasted some time, though. Most did not. Assault rifles quickly flanking, but nice job. And these Panzers are quickly in trouble. They need to get out of there. And oh dear. Again, a nicely usage of the heavy machine guns to really sort of stop the only advantage that he has right now, which of course is assembly. He has a lot of, you know, Panzer Grenadiers with assault rifles. 30 calibers do stop that nicely. And for some reason he's not even bothering with armored cars, which could be a bit of help. Logistic cars instead. And of course he might be trying for the Panther battle group, of course. 3 points. No doctrine. Again, not really a good sign either. Usually you want a doctrine by then, because after 3 points you actually gain command points slower. So a fun little fact there for any curious viewers. And there we go, Rifleman with BARs getting pushed off. Lots of riflemen, and there we go again, 30 caliber, and again, quickly stopping the Panzer Grenadiers, quickly suppressing, and in fact gaining veterans, one increasing accuracy further, making this one very, very nasty surprise for the Hun. For the Krauts, mines going off, I believe. No artillery! Of course, oh dear, and he just lost another squad. He probably wasn't paying attention. So now it's down, in fact, to 2 Panzer squad. He has an armored car with the logistic upgrade. As I suspect, of course, it might be used in an attempt to sort of quickly speed up any sort of attempt at getting Panthers. And again, floating resources, never a good thing. Again, it just usually means your opponent has more resources in the field on the map, which again he can use to sort of minimize your advantage again, thus creating an overall resource advantage. Engineers taking points left and right. Of course, this is secured, so the engineers can't take that point. Panzer Grenadiers moving out in numbers. Those gates. But again, I mean, we're not really seeing much fighting, partly because again, TGA is not really having a lot left, because again, he's floating, although he does manage to completely eviscerate one engineer squad. But that's about it. And then we go, another command upgrade. Tank destroyer up. Artillery getting called in on the Panzer command, although now he should be able to soon get that Panther battle group. Panzer Kampfwagen 5, Panther Panzer, whatever you might call it. There we go, tank destroyer rolling into town, and again, nothing whatsoever from TGA to stop it. Again, partly poor tactics and strategy in general, because again, lots of fuel for his opponent. He's not really able to he hasn't got the capability to attack anymore. He's just sort of pinned back, because again, oh right, let's just go for Panthers. Let's not actually consider any possibilities of what could go wrong and right. Like for example, my opponent nicely countering me using heavy machine guns. No, that would be silly, wouldn't it? Yes, TGA. Never mind. There we go, though. Panthers finally arriving. Now, of course, question is, will TGA actually now push some sort of advantage out of it? And he should probably consider getting some armor cars to retake those points. I mean, Kettenkrats. And in the meanwhile, just pushing forward, supporting his Panthers with the Panzer Grenadiers. Pushing out as far as possible. Knocking out things left and right. Which isn't really much. Come on, TGA. And again, he's losing territory because, again, they're just getting cut off. Because, again, TGA is not doing much. Trying to catch a sniper with the Panther, that's...
Supply lines are broken. We have territory covered.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure that's a good idea. And again, TGA is just losing more and more territory. Again, poor usage of resources. Floating resources, again, just hoping for the Panther to save everything. Now at least he's getting some Kettenkrats. Scout car gone. Panther rolling in. Rifle in trouble. Sticky bomb going off on both Panthers. Was the man in mind, actually. Never mind, though. Motor pull up. We probably will be seeing some anti-tank guns, which will probably be much better in support still. TGA needs to push now for whatever he is worth. He needs to retake as much as possible. He needs more Kettenkrats. Possibly a scout car to just help up taking territory. And more artillery, although in this case he doesn't lose a full squad, which I suppose is something. Hasn't even bothered with expert repairs. I mean, he's getting all these Panzers, but he isn't even getting the upgrades for them. I do feel that's another mistake, put mildly. And again, the Americans are moving forward. Again, nothing to really stop them because, again, TGA is just hanging back with a poor strategy. Now we are seeing 4 Panzer Grenadiers squads, each 4-man, each from the assault rifles. And of course, mines proving their worth, stopping already one of the Panthers. 30 calibers, anti-tank guns, rifleman BRs, although one squad looks like it's going to go down. Panzer Grenadiers already suffering a bit. One squad down to 2 men. And a full retreat because, again, why? He was blobbing up, running into a heavy machine gun. That's just pointless. Again, we really are seeing, a lot of basic Panzer Elite mistakes right here. Figuring, oh right, just spamming Panzer Grenadiers is going to lead to victory. No, it's not necessarily. In particular, not when you're going for this route. And of course, you think, oh, just going for Panthers, that's going to give me victory. No, it's not either. Although clearly, Angelfrost's response is not really the most cleverly thought out either. Okay, he's got 2 Panthers. What do I send in? 1 tank destroyer. Yeehaw! And of course, it gets blown up. And usually though, if one of your plans usually involve you going yeehaw at the end, you might want to reconsider it because then something's wrong. Panthers once more getting stopped by the 30 caliber Rangers charging ahead, trying to hit the side of the Panther, which was really the only spot the bazookas had a chance of actually penetrating. More artillery. Oh dear, poor use of it this time though. Poor old chap. And again, repairing the Panther. Does he have extra repairs? Clearly not, otherwise this would go much faster, which would definitely be to his advantage, because then he could actually push forward quickly again. But at least his Panthers are pointing in the right direction. As for the only SS Panzer Brigade I know of, that was the SS Panzer Brigade Gross, which fought alongside the 101st somewhere in Narva. That is, somewhere up in the Baltics, and had a rather curious composition, since unlike the other Panzer Brigades, its armor was sort of a much more of a mix of Panzer IIIs, Panzer IVs, and T-34s and Stooks. I mean, it really was a much more of a greater mix. Of course, also note there were 2 series. There was the 100 series and then the 110 series. The 110 series was more curiously equipped, not just Panthers, but also, well, regular ones didn't even have just have Panzer. They also had Yak Panzer 470s, another Kettenkrat down, but Panzer 4s, Stooks, Not all Panzer Grenadiers were in half-tracks, which the other ones actually were, the earlier ones. So, you know, minor things like that, but the Panzer Brigade was just a complete mix of whatever could be scraped together in terms of Panzer Grenadiers and tanks, which rather led to it being even equipped with Soviet tanks. So, of course, a bit of fun there. Riflemen moving in. For the Americans, of course, there was nothing, never really that sort of scratched together. It was really rather the Germans which had all of those sort of curious formations and ad hoc such. Rangers with the bazooka. Sort of the first really sort of weapon of this type which the Germans managed to capture in North Africa and then actually improve, since the bazooka could only penetrate about 60 millimeters of armor, which rather meant, for example, it had a very, very low chance of actually dealing with a Tiger, for example, and even had problems with the Panzer IV. So, of course, that wasn't really much of use. The German Panzerschreck, on the other hand, could penetrate over 200 millimeters of armor. That's quite a difference. Panzer advancing again right into 30 caliber fire. Water cooled. And of course the 57mm anti-tank gun, which wasn't actually an American design but a British one, as this is pretty much the 6-pounder gun. The Americans just realized, oh wait, we only have a 37mm gun, that's complete rubbish, what do we do? Then they asked the Brits, and then they renamed it the 6-pounder gun and used that. So fun little facts there. Again, not really the strongest plane. Now we are seeing a mortar half-track, which was usually about the only thing a Panzer Brigade would have. Some would also have the Stukas Fuss. That was about it. But just getting pushed back there with assault rifles. Mortar, though, not a bad idea to try and dig out the opponent, I suppose. Though again, he needs to deal with all those harassers. And again, upgrades for the Panzer Brigade so they take territory faster and repair faster would be a good move. Oh dear, these riflemen could be in trouble, in trouble, in trouble. Yes, indeed, getting absolutely gunned down. Might just want to retreat them now.
200 points left. Casualties being
Instead, Angelfrost is a bit too late on that. Not good unit preservation. In fact, he's down to 2 infantry squads. That's usually considered a bad sign. No supplied upgrades either, no medic stations either. He really could consider one of those things. In fact, I'd prefer both. Panther hanging about, looking all Pantherish. Of course, the mortar half-track.
Losing ground out there.
57mm at your service.
Probably trying to mortar out that anti-tank gun, though not really succeeding. Going for the central victory point again. Why not just beat this up a bit? Again, Panzer is pushing on. Trying to take a point while under fire again. Might be an idea to pull up in the heavy combat, deal with the riflemen first. Again, priorities. Prioritäten. More artillery. In fact, we are now seeing an on-map howitzer against the Wehrmacht. I mean, the Panzer base.
Going after one of our munitions points.
Panzer is getting forced away.
Dunlop, get that weapon loaded.
Panzer Grenadiers moving about. Bit of quiet there.
Rangers here!
Sniper should be careful, he could get overrun, and there's no 30 caliber pointing in that direction. Assault Grenadiers are moving in. Sturmen, Sturm. Now we got attacking, firing away, might be even clearing out the anti-tank gun, but no, 30 caliber stops them.
Losing ground out there.
And return artillery. Against the Panzer inside the building. Again, laying mines in front. And here it's usually a better thing to actually stay inside the building. They do provide protection. Although not full, of course. But I mean, against artillery, they do provide some. So I mean, in that sense, buildings are alright. Although if it's about to collapse, get the devil out of there. And I'd certainly recommend getting them out of there now. They're not, never mind. A few Rangers sneaking about. Point being secured. And a nice little charge. Mortar rounds falling on those filthy Americans.
The enemy is after our victory point.
More artillery. Evacuate the building, man! Evacuate before it collapses, killing your Panzer Grenadiers. Rückzug, Stellungswechseln. Just get the bloody hell out of there. Come on. Again, a bit of a mistake there again. When a building collapses and there's troops in it, they will die. That's usually what happens when a building collapses. So get them out of there before that happens. Now again, I would also suggest Angelfrost gets a bit more fury. Attacks a bit harder, gets some tank destroyers up in a larger group and charges in perhaps. Or just advances even a slight bit.
We are losing a sector.
As of course you could risk that TGA actually somehow managed to get his act together and counterattacks in force. Though again, he's actually holding back with Panthers not attacking. Just randomly sending in Panzer Grenadiers into the deaths. This is definitely not going to earn him an Iron Cross. Might in fact just earn him a trip to the Eastern Front. And again, evacuate this place. Rangers moving in on the west. Again, going for the central point. Getting shot at, getting sniped at. And Rangers going in for the victory point. And finally leaving. Finally, about damn time too.
Rejoice, Panzer.
And now he's getting Hummels. I mean, he's only using scorched earth for Hummels. That's usually a bad idea. I mean, there's so much more to a doctrine. If you're only using a doctrine for one unit only and not the rest of, say, its abilities or anything, you're usually achieving something, not very much. I mean, he could at least use the scorched earth abilities much earlier. And I mean, generally considering the status, I think he would have been better off with airborne Luftwaffe and again floating all those resources. But again, he could have gotten some Fallschirmjäger, some Luftwaffe. He could probably, you know, infiltrated behind lines, cleared out all the things. That would probably have seen him through. But again, no, he went instead for a Hummel. Again, not really a sign of him actually being any sort of highly competent. Moving in there, although interesting note, he's actually going for offensive veterancy for the assault grenadiers. Not that I would argue against that, although some players just prefer going for defenses, and of course that makes them harder to kill as they get closer. It makes them allows them to get closer now. Usually I do prefer offensive because I'm more than just, you know, just moving up closely. I'm more about maneuvering than just charging in blindly. Now we are seeing some Hummel fire. We are seeing an American mortar, in fact. And the Hummel fires a 150mm gun. Another squad down. Tragic. Mortar cleared out. That's a small victory as opposed to the Hummel. But yeah, he might want to consider doing a bit more with that.
Our base is under attack.
Base getting hammered.
Ready for orders. Here. Forward supply lines are broken.
Again, I would recommend something a bit more useful from TGA.
The Americans are
Troops getting hammered, surprisingly enough. More loss to artillery. And you're not really paying much attention. Usually do get something about, oh dear, I hear artillery from your men, and you can usually find out where. But then again, I mean, usually you also have a bit more luck. Sometimes, you know, they don't get wiped out with the first shot, but sadly TGA, though, is not having in that much luck in that sense. Retreat, move away. Again, usually you do find this building is the sort of spot to call all the artillery in on, which again is why you usually sort of have buildings at the edges so you can then reinforce there. Armor hammering away again, actually doing a bit of damage. Killing, in fact, 7 kills.
Attention. The enemy advances.
5 men in a bit of trouble. Panther getting sticky bombed again. He doesn't really seem to be careful and again aware of the threat of sticky bombs. Not really good either, and again not really a good indication of a great tank commander. Tank destroyer moves in. Getting hammered a bit. Well, you see securing some points, I suppose. Training more Panzer Grenadiers.
They're in the perimeter. Our base is under attack.
More artillery against the Panzer Elite base. Panther's doing a bit though. Finally. And the Hummel firing again. And these Panzers need to get out there against a veteran T2 heavy machine gun. Just move, man! Rangers forced away due to heavy artillery fire. In fact, gaining the Hummel veterancy. That's interesting to note. Panzers here doing badly again. Suppressive volleys for riflemen can be quite effective. Again, it's something they get with the BAR upgrade. And he's getting a second Hummel. Not really what I'd necessarily recommend, but clearly TGA's got his own plans, calling in a lot of heavy artillery for the Panzer Brigade. Possibly quite aware that if he loses this bit of core reserve, he might be in a lot of trouble. He hasn't even bothered upgrading, since they do actually provide cooldowns as well for the artillery. Incendiary rounds right there. That's nice. How about using that other Hummel you got? Panzer gun's getting mortared again. Nice to see a mortar, in fact. Panthers moving in.
The enemy
Is this fully planned out? And the tank destroyer sneaks in again, sending one tank destroyer against two Panthers. Not really the height of brilliant thought. And how about clearing out those anti-tank guns so you can roll in those Panthers? For heaven's sake, TGA, think! Think! Man, think! You have two Hummels which could be used to clear out any sort of things that could threaten your Panthers. Use them like that. Heavy machine gun though sorted out, I suppose that's something. Second one almost done. But again, we're rather looking at a... Yes, there we go, anti-tank gun gone, push forwards. Instead we are seeing some counter-artillery at the Hummels, providing a bit of protection. How about firing the other Hummel? You know, the other heavy artillery piece you ordered in, which cost you 650 manpower, which is currently doing nothing. And more assault rifles. Get some troops losing. Feuer frei, Männer. Feuer frei. 16 kills though. He's actually decent with his Hummel. I've seen a lot of players, you know, who usually get absolutely nothing out of them. So I suppose that's something in his favor. But again, get that other one firing, man.
We are losing ground.
And push forward. Usually, you actually use your artillery a bit more aggressively, you know, to sort of push an assault with. Against an engineer squad. Are you kidding me? 2 engineers and you're using a Hummel? Jesus Christ. That's a bit of a waste.
An enemy unit has fallen to our...
There we go, artillery knocking out the anti-tank, and come on, push the Panthers, push some infantry.
Is under enemy fire.
More artillery, the Hummels actually receiving some protection. And what is this? A Ranger squad. The Hummels have been poorly placed. They are not within protection range of the base defenses. The Rangers can easily sort them out. And note, their heavy artillery pieces, not heavy tanks, so their armor is pretty rubbish. Oh dear, TGA, whatever were you thinking? And he's actually moving in with range of the artillery getting called in on his base. Lost an infantry squad. Hummel going to go down as well. Oh, TGA, you absolute buffoon. You've just lost a squad and a Hummel. A Hummel which hadn't done anything really, because again you weren't using it. Oh God. course, the American commander's now just hammering away with the artillery, which is certainly nice, although again, some more aggressive, and again, decent armor tactics. So far, he's just sending in his tank destroyers piecemeal. Again, you do not send units in piecemeal. Finally moving the Panthers. Finally! About bloody damn time, too! And again, clearly now, all of a sudden, Angelfrost is not prepared. He knows there's those two Panthers, although again, TGA is of course making the mistake of moving up close to them. Does he even think? More Rangers arriving. Tank destroyer moving in. Veterans E2 with offensive veterans. Oh, the MG gunner's actually been killed. Panther's actually not been disabled in any way due to sticky bombs. That's surprisingly. And now we're seeing artillery against the base. Yes, indeed. He might actually make it out of there. Although again, no bazookas can actually penetrate the rear reasonably well. A Sherman has arrived, an upgun Sherman. That's odd. And of course, the Hummels are unprotected. Mortar coming under fire. I mean, mortar half flank more specifically. Panthers need to get back, although they might get knocked out. Get some defensive infantry up free for the last bit. Although note it does provide armored scope, which does provide protection against bazookas still. They've actually done some damage with these Panthers. It's just that essentially TGA just can't put 2 and 2 together in terms of tactics or strategy. Come on, defensive infantry, defensive. There we go. And now get them away, get them moving. Yeah, he didn't that. Instead, he lost the veterancy free Panther, and the other one could also be going down. Sticky bomb, in fact. And it's gone as well. He just lost 2 Panthers. He's down 1 Hummel. Although, of course, he's just managed to do Angelfrost a lot of damage because, again, what did Angelfrost do? Send in his troops piecemeal, which is what you do not do. You could have also considered moving away his anti-tank guns under all that artillery fire. Instead, he let them remain at the exact same spots, allowing pretty much TGA to just knock them out without really trying. But there we go. They might both have been novices, but I mean, clearly TGA out-noviced Angelfrost.
We have but 50 points. We can now booby-trap buildings.
And he's just lost 3 Hummels, 2 Panthers, lots of Panzer Grenadiers, and I don't know what else. So game over, victory for Angelfrost and the 1st Infantry Division. The 107th Panzer Brigade shall be going home in shame, and TGA will be moved over to the Eastern Front to leave some Volks Grenadier unit. So I mean, what were the mistakes? I mean, not fully utilizing your Hummels, poor. And generally not coordinating into a larger offensive plan. He just sort of hammered targets and sort of decided, oh well, let's just move in those Panthers, shan't we? I mean, there was no coordination between the different bits. Not between Panthers and infantry, not between infantry and artillery, or for that matter, infantry, artillery and Panthers. Absolutely abysmal. And of course, the simple fact, he was just pretty much, spam out a lot of Panthers, which then got countered easily, which rather stalled things for him. I mean, Angelfrost was actually able to sort of decently counter it. What Angelfrost sort of wasn't quite prepared for, of course, were Panthers, and of course, he didn't move his anti-tank guns when they came under artillery fire, which, didn't help either. And of course, in general, though, it was also, TGA's tendency to just get his Panthers easily disabled, not proper upgrades for his Panzer Grenadiers. I mean, there were a lot of mistakes there. And I could go on for quite a bit of while. I shan't though, but still, do hope you enjoyed this game. If you did, why not subscribe and tell your friends, and if you didn't, well, why not send in a replay of your own, and of course, feel free to share with friends. This is Imperial Dane saying cheers.